What is the point of a remake? To show an audience a movie that they already know and love, but taking place in their time. Even if technically it isn't in their time, it's just reflective of the times that they live in. These movies reflect the troubles faced at the times of its release, or updating the already explored topics with hindsight, new research, or a new angle. Take Rob Zombie's Halloween remake from 2007. A movie that didn't need to be remade, sure, but if you're gonna do it while updating it and giving something fresh to it. Rob takes the idea of familial relations, nature versus nurture, and generational trauma, and places them onto a character whose life is relatively unexplored up to the point where he dons the mask. Was this necessary though? Well, you may not think so, or you may think that these ideas were explored poorly, but one thing is for sure, this movie feels like it's from the 2000s.
Lots and lots of trains.
Order now, get a free bonus CD of sing-along train songs. Call.
You see, vibe is everything. Movies like Texas Chainsaw, Nightmare on Elm Street, Prom Night, at this time have a certain, how do you say? The rapid camera movements, the fashion, the washed out color palettes, the fashion, they all scream exactly what they're supposed to. We are 2000's remakes. Setting themselves apart from the melodramatic 90s slashers, cheap 80s flicks, and the overly polished movies that come out after them, 2000's remakes had something to say. Not always narratively, but sometimes in vibes, and they nailed that. Let's start with the filmmaking itself. Take this shot in Prom Night. You're not seeing this much lens movement anywhere outside of an episode of The Office. Or in the 2009 Friday the 13th, look how shaky this camera is. Same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre's remake, or even the Halloween remake in the bathroom. You can barely tell what's happening. These movies are ugly messes. Whether it's the cinematography, the camera work, or the editing, they kind of know it though. And when you watch these movies, you can feel the era. You know that somebody in this movie is wearing low-rise jeans just out of frame somewhere. Reading this blog post and discussion thread from 2010, there are multiple instances of people arguing about intentionality and effectiveness, or lack thereof, in the emotion that handheld cameras can portray. This particular comment got a laugh out of me. And while they do kind of predict the future here as they argue that the technique will go out of style, they argue back and forth that this is a visual cue that is completely without purpose, saying, can you imagine the urgency, danger, insecurity of the opening sequence of Star Wars done in jerky mode? I doubt if that would wow the audience. And while fair, I do think that the style itself is emblematic of a time, and it's unique unto itself. While handheld footage isn't something that was new at the time, the headache-inducing jerky motions were very much at their peak here. Is this a good thing though? Probably not. Action sequences that build up to larger moments then switch to this style. They create a sense of confusion and disorientation, not only actually within our brains, as it hurts my noggin, but within the movie itself. Characters fly one way or the other, and we don't know where the killer is, where the characters might be running to, etc. Tied into the movements and the direction is the cinematography and visuals that we get through the colors of this era. Not just in horror remakes, obviously, we see shaky cam and blown out color grading everywhere at this time. But remember, these movies already exist somewhere previously, so they're trying to set themselves apart from their predecessor. Leaning into the dark and edgy vibe in every nook and cranny they could, visuals included. Let's take some of these movies and do a side-by-side comparison. In the original Friday the 13th, Pamela's death is relatively simple. It's just a beach and she gets her head chopped off. But in the remake, we get a lot of flashy editing surrounding the storm that's happening at the time, with the cutaways happening when the lightning strikes. In the original Texas Chainsaw, we don't need the yellow filter that the remake provides. The cinematography, the acting, and the on-location shooting really help get this feel. In Prom Night, the edginess of the 2000s really rings true in the costuming. In the original, we get this interesting giallo theme, but in the remake, we just get a sexy guy in a baseball cap. Not really the same thing. And then in Halloween, as stated before, we get really smooth camera movement like this.
Okay, come on out.
But in the remake, we get the shaky bathroom kill. Blues are used to evoke a sense of cold, and yellows are used to evoke hot. It's a result of lazy filmmaking from the digital age of film that allowed ease of access to wash out all these colors by turning up or down the saturation scale. Like I said before, the original Texas Chainsaw is the hottest, stickiest, swamp nuttiest movie there is, and it's all because of good filmmaking. But its remake's reliance on post-production really gives this movie a washed out feel. But again, this is a showing of the time, and it's intentional, I think. Anytime new technology is introduced into any field, it's probably overused. This really well-written explanation on Reddit cites the Mummy's use of digital color grading as the originator of the boom in this style. Quote, Mummy was ground zero for the piss filter. It kind of exploded from there. The Mummy was considered a marvel of CGI and post-processing at the time and took color washing to 11. Within a matter of years, you had a ton of movies like Gladiator, Traffic, Oh Brother, Black Hawk Down, 300, etc. Basically countless examples after The Mummy. A more recent example that drives me crazy is the use of the volume in a lot of Disney productions. Popularized and originating with The Mandalorian, but then overused like hell in many other productions, it is genuinely sad that filmed in a real place can be used as a marketing tactic in 2025. So is it ugly? Yeah. Is it bad? It's kind of a choice, but again, it's intentional use at the time to say, this ain't your grandpa's Freddy Krueger. Moving on from that, let's talk about the fashion. Fashion is always over the top and celebrities get made fun of for what they're wearing at the time. Jealousy? Probably. Around this time, we had guys in the largest cargo shorts ever in super nice button-ups, girls in the lowest cut jeans you've ever seen, and Ashley Tisdale. Was anyone wearing the clothes of the 70s and 80s at this point? Not really, outside of jeans and a t-shirt, which is always a staple. And when studios aren't making war movies or sports movies for dads, they're probably trying to cater to a younger audience, as that's who's not really flocking to the theaters. And what better way to do that than through representation? Seeing people like you in a movie, whether it's through life practices, ethnicity, or fashion, is always comforting. So if you're taking an already established and well-known name and then just creating a movie out of that, half the battle's gone. Now you just need to figure out who to market to. Black Christmas, When a Stranger Calls, My Bloody Valentine, none of these are egregious examples of some crazy fashion trend at the time, but they're very clearly indicative of the years that they were released, and that's important. This graphic shows that from 2009 to 2016, the percentage of movie tickets being bought by younger audiences has dropped significantly. Now more than ever, audience attendance is down, and that's been talked to death, and there are a lot of reasons for it, but I don't think that fashion and representation are gonna all of a sudden liven the audience. Hell of a Summer, a movie I seemingly constantly reference on this channel, has the younger cast, modern dialogue, modern looks, modern humor, a movie by Gen X for Gen X, yet that movie was a box office disappointment, unfortunately. There are other examples like Scream 5 and Scream 6 having a younger demographic and it working, but in the same franchise, they had a younger audience with Scream 4, representative of their time, and that movie's the lowest grossing of the series. Although piracy was going crazy back then, and I'm pretty sure that's a huge contributing factor to that. So while contributing something as small as fashion or the look of the cast isn't that cut and dry, I do believe this is a contributing factor to the appeal. The Y2K aesthetic is going crazy right now. Curtis Connor has a really good video on it. My friends personally are big fans of the older styles of websites and technology. They're ugly, but they're products of their time, just like this Ashley Tisdale outfit. But did the styles pay off? Let's look at the box offices and see what their reflections are. Very clearly looking at the numbers, these are some big heavy hitters. Jason, Freddy, and Michael will most likely always bring an audience to the theater. And there's a certain recognition that comes along with it, which is exactly what they're hoping for. And while they're no Star Wars, if we factored in merchandising alone, these movies made money probably. So let's take a look instead at some movies that, successful or not in the time, were remade in the 2000s. And it seems like it worked. Here we see examples of movies that don't have a specific figurehead or horror icon attached that still make money. Black Christmas's original release was expected to be a big hit. The movie had a small budget and it's a really well-made movie, so upon its release, it apparently was anticipated to make upwards of $7 million. This was, however, not the case as it barely scraped by to $1 million upon a re-release. Once its updated counterpart came out though, with a cast of young, at the time, people in it, with gore and visuals to make your head hurt, the box office wasn't breaking records or anything, but it surpassed its budget, marketing budget, and then turned a profit. The greatest success here is obviously My Bloody Valentine. The minor persona and visual is something that never captivated audience upon the release of the first, like Freddy or Jason did. It was a box office failure, and it still only crept really to be a cult classic in modern times. Its remake, however, took a very modest $15 million budget, made a very ugly movie, and then made $100 million. I checked this number twice because I really didn't believe it. My Bloody Valentine's remake is inarguably more famous than its predecessor in my opinion. There are exceptions to all of these and none of it's set in stone. Obviously, The Crow, Wolfman, and Wrong Turn all had modern remakes in the last 5 years with updated visuals, cast, and whatever else, but none of those are successes. Box office budgeting is tricky. There are people who study it a lot harder than me, arguments about whether or not to adjust for inflation, but I don't know. It either makes money or it doesn't make money. And to me, these numbers suggest that it might be worth catering to something that's popular right now and looking for quick success rather than trying to make a timeless classic. Do I agree with any of this though? Not really. I mean, the studio is trying to make a business and profit off of somebody else's original idea, and that feels wrong. But the people working on these movies get to stretch their legs in a field that they love and maybe have a passion for the original and are excited to be part of its legacy, whether the movie is good or bad in the end. But what do you guys think? Is the trend chasing of these movies a bad thing? Is that exactly what makes you love them? Do you have a remake that you want to see, or do you want to see any of these remade again? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, share it around, give it a like. Otherwise, thank you for watching.